Panthers Nation, what up, though? It's Aaron Duncan here, back again with another installment in my series that I'm working on leading up to the season of breaking down the roster and evaluating position by position leading up in the training camp, because the Panthers training camp is just a few weeks away. So we got to look at what we got, man, and see what we got in the cupboard and see what we're going to have to go to war with in the fall. But before we get into that, let me introduce myself one more time. I'm Aaron Duncan here with the Necessary Bluntness Sports Talk. Hit the subscribe button down below. I do recap and analysis of the Panthers. So if you want to see more videos about the Panthers in camp, I'm going to be doing behind the scenes stuff. I'm going to training camp this year for that first week. So I'm going to be giving all kind of exclusive content and stuff like that. So make sure you are subscribed and hit the bell icon and get a notification for all. That way you don't miss any of the stuff that I'll post, because I got a lot of stuff going and we're just getting started, man, because it's almost time for training camp. So you don't want to miss anything. Hit the subscribe button. So first, let's take a look at our current depth chart for the Carolina Panthers. Obviously, we're led by number 22, Deuce, Christian McCaffrey. Obviously, Chuba Hubbard's going to be brought back. Spencer Brown from last year also that spent some time on the team. But some of the offseason additions, mainly D'Onta Foreman, Darius Bradwell, and Josh Lovett. Now, Foreman, obviously, he spent some time in Tennessee last year. He filled in admirably for Derrick Henry down the stretch. So I like the addition of the bigger back, and they said they want to get to more of a downhill scheme. So adding a guy like Foreman, who's 6 feet, 235 pounds, it makes a lot of sense based on what we've been told from this staff and front office this offseason. But for the position outlook, I think one of the most underappreciated things that has happened this offseason is obviously our offensive line being improved, but we've talked about what impact that could have on Sam being at quarterback, or maybe Matt Corral coming in as a starter, but nobody's really talking about the impact it will have on this running game. Now, last year, we know we had Cam Irvin, Pat Elfine, guys like that, but adding a Bozeman, adding a Ike Ekwonu, adding an Austin Corbett, teams and veterans that come from teams that run the ball. Bozeman had one of the most downhill runs, one of the most successful rushing attacks in the Baltimore Ravens over the past few years. And Bozeman was the guy in the middle anchoring that. So having a guy like that is pretty good. And we know how Icky gets nasty when it comes to the pancakes and the running game. So this fits what we've been told from these coaches about wanting to be downhill, wanting to be a power team, more balanced, taking the ball out of the quarterback's hands a little bit more so they don't make mistakes, playing to the strengths of your defense. This makes sense. But getting a 6 foot, 235-pound running back like D'Onta Foreman makes a lot more sense too, because this guy averaged 4.2 yards per carry last year, backing up Derrick Henry, and pretty much helped this team keep the boat steady as they secured the #1 seed in the AFC going into the playoffs, where a lot of people, including myself, didn't think that they would be. Granted, they fell flat in the playoffs, but Foreman still had a great game in those playoffs, and you can see the impact that he had, and that he's a capable, effective running back. He backed up another star running back that's been injured before, similar to the situation we have here with Christian McCaffrey. Now, obviously, overall, with Christian, when he's healthy, he's arguably the #1 weapon in the NFL. Like, top 3 at worst when he's healthy. Because you can't put a linebacker on him. You try to put a DB on him, you're committing less DBs to the passing game for receivers on the outside. He commands double teams amongst linebackers. You have to account for where he is on the field. Yes, DJ Moore is a 1,000-yard wide receiver, but the impact and the fear that Christian McCaffrey puts on defense is unmatched, and something that we don't have. I know a lot of y'all are pissed off about him getting the bread, like y'all paid him the money. The money didn't come out of you guys' account, but that's a whole nother story. A lot of people are mad that he got the money, hasn't played much yet. People are saying we should have traded him, blah, blah, blah. I put up the argument, like, if you didn't want to pay him, what was the other solution? Because a holdout would have got nasty. He's, like I said, the most unstoppable weapon in the league. You need a guy like that. You need one. Nevertheless, that's more of the politics side. On the field, Christian McCaffrey is a matchup nightmare. We saw a little bit last year, Joe Brady used him in the passing game, in the running game, to help set up other guys. So that's the biggest impact, because whenever you have a guy on your team, there's not many of them in the league, that every play they have to be accounted for, it really sets the defense off and gives you an advantage as the offense. So I think this is something that's very underrated. A lot of people saying that Christian McCaffrey got all these yards and we still didn't win games. I mean, that's fine. He didn't play defense. He's not going to be able to block for himself. I mean, he can't throw the ball to himself either. So I'm like, there's other pieces that go into it. So I think that's more of a straw man argument than anything, saying that him being productive doesn't mean anything. That's kind of weak, because there's plenty of other players you can say the same thing about, but nobody says that thing. They only say it about Christian because he's a running back. Nevertheless, I'm excited to see what Ben McAdoo can do. He's had some experience with running backs with versatile skills. He used Shane Vereen very uniquely when he was in New York Giants. If you don't know who Shane Vereen is, he made a living with the Patriots, obviously catching the ball in the backfield. But he's one of the better all-purpose backs in the league when it comes to route running, catching, yards after catch, coming out that running back position from the backfield. So I'm excited to see what Ben McAdoo can do. But also the fact that we have D'Onta Foreman, we have a lot of different skill sets. He's big, but he can also catch the ball. This gives us a rotation, and I want to see Christian McCaffrey be in some sort of a rotation. Yes, I know having him on the field, even if he doesn't get the ball, sets it up for everybody else too. But we can get the same type of effectiveness for a player or two from a guy like Chuba, from a guy like D'Onta Foreman, and stuff like that. So I want to see us mix it up with other guys in the backfield and hopefully get some balance. We've been asking for balance from this running back position for years. No matter if it's Norv Turner, Joe Brady, or even Ben McAdoo now, we've been asking for the same thing, and we have yet to get that. We don't want to put all the mail on Christian. We want to spread the wealth amongst the other running backs. That way you can have, I'd rather have a 75-80% of Christian McCaffrey's production for 17 games versus 110% of Christian McCaffrey's production for 5 or 6 games, and you're not knowing when he's going to come back. So hopefully with Christian changing his playing style, his training style, they've been working together with the coaches to come up with a plan for him, practicing and off-season and in the game-wise, they'll come to a conclusion that works for everybody.
And I think, we've studied, after having 2 years, we've studied, hey, what are the best practices that we can do in terms of practice times and all those different things to keep him as healthy as possible.
Especially with a lot more experienced coaches on the staff now with a guy like McAdoo, we can do some things. We can do some things, hopefully, and I'm very excited about this running back position. But the biggest thing, and the last one to wrap up this position outlook, is that I think with McAdoo, last year with Joe Brady, they were trying to cure all the woes of Sam Darnold from years past of, hey, don't make any mistakes. When you're in any doubt, if you're not sure about what you see, if you feel uncomfortable about it, even if it may be there, check it down to Christian McCaffrey. And you saw multiple times that Darnold was passing up on open receivers just to throw it down to Christian. Yeah, it turned out to be good things, but it can handicap a quarterback who can't read the defense. So hopefully coaching can stress through and get stuff in through Sam's head. Hey, going to the check down is good, but don't get locked in on it too much, too early, and too soon. The biggest question for this position for me is, will the coaches put together a game plan and a rotation like we were just talking about that will allow Christian McCaffrey to play at least double-digit games? And I don't even think that's a big stretch to ask for. Double-digit games would be lovely. I think it makes a big impact on this team overall if he could play double-digit games. But he said he changed those things up. He used to be like Bruce Lee, feel like water and doing all this stuff. He felt like he might have overtrained at times and went too hard, which is pretty good to me. I'd rather a guy overworked than be underworked and sitting on his ability and his potential or whatever and not maximize everything he has. But he wants to dial it back a little bit because sometimes his training may be a little bit too intense and that it takes a toll on him. So you've been seeing this all season, been chilling with his model girlfriend a lot more, going out with Braxton Berrios and all them and stuff, chilling and whatnot. So Christian, hopefully he's been having a little bit more balance to his life and to his training to the point that he's not overdoing it and he's ready to carry the mail. Like I said, the Carolina Panthers are a completely different team with him on the field, so they need to do whatever it takes to be able to keep him on the field, whether even limiting his carries to 15 to 20 touches a game or limiting his play number to 85% of snaps versus the 97 that he's been doing the past couple years, I guess. So anybody that tries to discount Christian McCaffrey's ability, they don't know what they're talking about. They probably need to be slapped. Not by me. I'm not a violent guy unless you push me, but they probably need to have some sense smacked into him because Christian McCaffrey is an elite talent. Elite. And that doesn't come down very often. The Panthers don't get elite talent on their team very often either. So why would you be so open to trading or dismissing this guy's ability? Because you're not used to seeing greatness like this that often. And his ability is rare. And I think we need to have him on the field to be able to take advantage of it. And it's conducive to the coaching staff to figure out a way to keep him on the field for at least double-digit games. All right. My player to watch for this position is going to be Chuba Hubbard. Now, Chuba Hubbard, he was the man for a couple games last year as Christian got hurt. We didn't have a ton of experience behind Christian McCaffrey, but now with another year under Chuba's belt, last year, some of the things I thought he needed to improve on, and I broke down his film in some videos, so you can check that out too. But I think he needed to add some size and strength. Will come at time, obviously, to adjust from being a leaner back and be able to get away with that in the Big 12 versus the NFL where you're getting hit and going down a little bit easier. He needed to get a little bit stronger and bigger there. Also need to work on protecting the ball and being able to catch the ball. Obviously, you would think a guy like that with his agility and whatnot would be able to catch better, but his hands struggled a lot last year. And third was balance. He tripped and fell a lot of times when home run plays were there, or he might have had a bigger crease, or his eyes got too big, I guess, and he might have tripped over the paint on the 35-yard line and fell on his face. So hopefully he worked on all these things, because these are 3 things that are very fixable. You can add weight and size and speed in the offseason training. You can work on your balance a lot more, obviously, and then catching. That's easy. Just hit the just machine, work with your guys, get better at your craft. So I want to see Chuba take that next step, especially with him seemingly being bumped down to 3rd string running back. He has a lot more skill set as far as running style compared to a slasher, which is more Christian McCaffrey style, while Foreman is more of a thumper that can break some long ones. So there's going to be room for him to get on the field. And I think, like I said, hopefully they put a rotation together, that there will be some room for Chuba if he can make plays enough in the preseason and when he takes advantage of the opportunity to show that, hey, even though you brought in Foreman, I still deserve to be on the field. So I hope that Chuba has gotten better over this offseason. He'll show some strides in training camp and make it worthwhile. I think, like I said, there's going to be an opportunity in this offense with Ben McAdoo to play multiple running backs. The Giants did it, like I said, in his experience back then. So I want to see it happen here in Carolina. Keep everybody fresh, keep the defense on their toes, and let's get after it, man. You guys let me know down below in the comments, how do you feel overall about the running back position on this roster? Are you sick and tired of Christian McCaffrey and you just don't think that we should worry about him anymore? We should trade him? Or do you happy to have him back? Are you looking forward to see him on the field again? Let me know down below in the comments. But without further ado, I'm Aaron Duncan signing off for the Necessary Blunt Sports Talk. Make sure you guys are subscribed and stay tuned to the rest of this training camp series. I'll see you next time. Peace.